Are you looking for a low-maintenance, sun-loving perennial plant hardy to zones 3 through 9? One that will reward you with an abundance of flowers in July and August? Then consider the daylily, not the old-fashioned orange ditch lily that your grandmother grew. Today's daylilies come in a variety of colors. There are the traditional reds and yellows, but they also come in pinks and lavender, some with contrasting eyes or frilly edges. Flowers can range in size from petite 2-inch blossoms to huge spider varieties that feature 11-inch long curving petals. Daylilies look best when planted in massive groups of 3 or more. In today's video, I'm going to show you how easy they are to divide and plant so you can make an impressive statement in your garden. Hi everybody, my name is Lynette and welcome to my garden. Our 10-day forecast is looking just lovely. I think spring has finally come, which means we can get our hands in the soil. We can do some of those much needed tasks like edging and cutting back and weeding. Unfortunately, tomorrow they are calling for some rain. So that would give me an opportunity to do some cleaning inside the house, but seriously, who wants to do that? Instead, I think I'm going to do some strategic gardening today so that I can do some gardening tomorrow as well. And to do that, I'm going to be digging up my daylilies. But before I show you how to do that, I want to go back in time to July of 2024. Another plant that grows really well in my garden are daylilies. And if anybody's interested in daylilies, I would suggest you get with your Hemicalis Society and learn about them. There are thousands of different varieties, and they are a wonderful bunch of people. A daylily gets its name because it only blooms for one day. So this blossom will be closed up tomorrow. It'll be shriveled up like those there. And then this one will open. So you get continuous bloom, but this flower does not last longer than one day. Another tip I'd like to share with you is how I keep the weeds from getting into my garden and how I prevent the grass from getting invaded by my garden plants, and that's by digging a trench. We use an edger every spring, go around and take that to make the first cut. Then I come back in with a flat to make a nice sharp edge there so that the grass can't creep in, and then I clean it up with this little trenching shovel. And we do that once a year, every spring. We do not supplemental water here unless it's something that's newly planted, and I don't like dragging a hose out, so I find that's a really convenient place to plop the hose down that the mower can't run over and destroy. In my garden, anything that grows where I don't want it to be is considered a weed. So even flowers, to prevent things from reseeding all over the place, I deadhead. So you take spent flowers off. This is full of seeds. This is potential pulling for me, and I don't have time for that. So that goes in the compost pile. Planting really thick is one way to prevent a lot of weeds from getting into your garden and germinating. However, we do have one, our nasty, our problem child, and it is horse nettle. This is a piece that we pulled out of the garden, and you can see this is covered with thorns. This is a nasty bugger found in many fields around here, and it has a fleshy root. It runs about 6 feet down and about 20 feet across, and it'll sprout all over. If you cut it, it comes back up. If anybody else is battling this and knows how to get rid of it, contact me. I'd love to hear from you. My plan is to start with the daylilies that are underneath the birch tree first. These have been in here about 12 years, and I bet it's going to be a little tricky to get them out because of all the birch tree roots. lot easier than I expected. It only took me about 25 minutes to dig all of them up. They were very shallow because of the birch tree roots that have been heaving them up out of the ground. So it's a good thing I'm removing them. They're not getting the sunlight or the water that they need to bloom, so I just need to find a new place for them. I have them in the pots. I'm going to take them into the garage tomorrow and pot them up.
Digging up your daylilies is as simple as it sounds. Brush back the mulch. In my case, I use leaf mulch. Then insert your shovel 3 to 4 inches away from the clump. Go all the way around the plant, then pry it out of the ground and move it to the side. These clumps can be quite heavy, so be careful that you don't hurt yourself. When I originally started my garden, I had single pots of several varieties. Over the years, as the plants grew bigger, I simply divided them and replanted them in mass to create large drifts. Each division was initially spaced about 3 feet apart. As the plants have grown bigger and matured, when they are in bloom, it is hard to tell where one clump starts and the other stops. Unlike the orange ditch lilies, these new hybrids are better behaved and less invasive. If happily situated, they will form large clumps. Some of the ones I dug out today are at least 18 inches across. Just like all plants, some varieties are a bit more vigorous than others. Some of you may be asking, why divide, especially when the mature planting looks so lush and full? Division offers some benefits to the plants as well as to us. Older clumps tend to stop blooming as fully, so by dividing them, you can spur on additional blooms. Divisions can be planted in different parts of the garden. They can be shared with family and friends, donated to plant sales, or even traded with fellow daylily enthusiasts. Over the years, I've traded many of my plants with fellow gardeners, which is why sometimes I don't know their correct names. Daylilies like to be situated in full sun and once established are rather drought resilient. There was a noticeable difference in the flower abundance of those planted under the birch trees and those planted in full sun, which is why I chose to remove them from under the tree and replant them in a full sun location. It wasn't that long ago that the only varieties available were common orange and yellow colors. Big box stores have a very limited variety to choose from. If you're looking for special varieties or flower forms, your best bet will be shopping online. There are many nurseries dedicated to just growing daylilies. In fact, since daylilies are so easy to hand pollinate, many of these nurseries have created and registered their own unique hybrids. Backyard breeding has unlocked genetics that have given us exciting flower shapes in every color except the elusive blue. If you find yourself overwhelmed by the many different cultivars, find your local Hemerocallis Society webpage and look for their top 10 member favorite listings, and be sure to check out when they're offering public garden tours. A word of warning though, daylilies can become addictive and you can never stop at just one.
The weatherman was right. It's the next day. I was planning on these rain showers. We're going to move into the garage to divide up the daylilies some more. We are in the garage. You may hear the furnace going in the background. That's just knocking a little bit of chill out of the air. Before we start dividing our daylilies, we need to make sure we have our supplies ready to go. We have some soil that has been pre-moistened with water. I've got some fertilizer. I have old pots. We're going to be recycling old pots to put the daylilies in. Have to make sure we put labels on our daylilies. I have a Sharpie marker, and I cut up mini blinds to use as labels. I have my machete in case I need to get really vicious and attack these daylilies. And then we have the daylilies themselves. When your daylilies come out of the ground, they're usually very joined together and congested. Sometimes you can simply go in and break off little pieces, and then you can remove some of the extra foliage and debris from last year's plant. But that's a daylily right there. That's one plant. Sometimes you can get in and pull apart, and you can get a whole bunch. This one's coming apart very easily. These are those fire cups that were under the birch tree, and the soil was so dry that these are coming apart really easily. More often than not, when you pull the daylilies out of the ground, they're in a big clump like this. What you want to do is get in there and pull out some of the debris so you can get a better idea of what your plants look like. There's no way I can get in here and pull these apart like I did the other daylilies, so that's when the machete comes into play. And all you need to do my head's getting in the way, isn't it? And now you have 2 plants, but that's still too big. There's 3 plants. Here's some more, and I think I can make this one even smaller. There's one, and there's a nice double right there. It's got enough roots, and we're going to be able to pot that right up. Before I start putting this in the pot, I'm going to clean up some of this dead debris. That's just a little bit from what was left over from last year. We've got our pot. It's going to fit in there perfectly, so I'm going to fill some soil in here. Add a little bit of fertilizer, stir that up. I'm going to set our daylily in there, tuck the roots down. Now we want to make sure that it sits a little bit lower than the rim of the pot. Then we're going to just tuck soil around it. Like that, and our soil is pre-moistened. Grab a label. This is the variety that I call Red Flag. I'm going to stick that down in there. Always put the part you write down in the soil because the sun can sometimes bleach out the label, so it keeps it stay there. Then we're going to just give it a little drink of water. We're going to put it outside, let those roots form, and then it'll be ready to be put in the garden and grow big and strong. When you're digging up your daylilies, you do not have to put them in pots like I did the others. These are the fire cups that were underneath the birch trees. I'm going to plant them in the spot where I dug up some of the red flags that have been in here. So I had to put some more soil in the holes because when I dug up the red flags, I just took all the soil with me to divide them in the garage. So I had a little extra soil, potting soil laying around. I just dumped that in. I am going to add a little bit of 10-10-10 into the holes. We'll skip that one for right now. Then you just kind of stir it up, just like that. Now, this is one of those things that do as I say, not as I do, because I obviously don't always do this. Get yourself some flagging tape. You can pick this up at any of the big box stores. Write the name of your daylily on it. In this case, we're going to write Fire Cup.
wrap it around. Just like that. And then we're going to plant it. Believe it or not, over time, your marker, your Sharpie marker, is going to stay vibrant on your plant, on the flagging tape. And when you dig this up years from now, when your brain is rotten and you don't remember things anymore, you'll know which variety of daylily it is. And basically, you're just going to dig your hole, pop it in, just like you plant anything, and backfill around it. Firm it in nicely. And then I use leaf mulch to mulch it in. And then I'll come back later and water it in. But that's all there is to it. We haven't turned our water on yet, so I've just got some water that I filled up in some jugs. Gonna give them a good drink and soaking. And they will hit the ground running and take off like they never even knew they were moved. They're gonna be so much happier here in the sunshine instead of underneath that birch tree. In the end, I ended up potting up about 100 daylilies. I gave hundreds away as well. Not sure what I'm gonna do with these, but if you're in the area, come see me and we can talk about a trade.